Welcome back to ESL Pro League Season 5 Finals. We're going to get started with Group B now. It's Mousesports taking on OpTic Gaming in a must-win match for the North American side. We've talked a lot about these teams. Chad kind of highlighted Mousesports, no slouches on this team. They've been performing so very well throughout this regular season. And we got your boy Rops.
Do we have Rops cam here?
We don't have a Rops cam here.
We need to set up a Rops cam.
We could set up a Rops cam.
Yeah, I've got the laptop out the back.
Yeah, it's not hard to wire that up.
Playing some ESEA earlier, and I thought, maybe we'll flick it over the Rops cam now.
Yeah, that's quite good. Stellar player. I mean, you quite like his mechanical skill a lot. You think he's going to be the next big thing?
Crosshair placement is amazing, right? If you just watch this kid, you just see how he approaches every duel. The fact that in clutches he can force people to make mistakes. Like, that's one of the qualities that I had never really mastered.
You can't teach it either.
No, and it's like the pacing. He doesn't seem panicked in situations when he's retaking. And when you come from basically not playing in a team for such a long period of time, or a structured professional team like he hasn't, and then get thrown into this one, and then still be able to put up, a relatively decent performance like what he's doing, it's good to see, and it shows that he can evolve into a star player eventually. It's just going to take him a while to get this LAN experience under his belt. And I keep harping on him, but I just think the kid's sick, so.
And I mean, sure. There is something special about seeing young players having composure, because it's like, it would have been understandable if he's playing well, if he gets off to a good start, and, similar to what we talked about with Twist, how that can be for a young player who has no fear. That could be very easy for them to just kind of keep going on that train for a long while until they hit that brick road, and then it's really hard to dig themselves out. I think Rob's is the kind of player, from the little I've seen of him, because he's so composed in all of these high stress situations, that even if he has a bad performance, that's not going to weigh him down. He's level-headed enough to actually understand, see the big picture and things, and I think that's going to be something that's immensely valuable for him going forward, and in terms of just having that steady development as a player, or just even just having that progress be much faster even.
Right.
It's very unique to see, right? I can't really think of another player who in my time have known, has come up and they don't get stuck into momentum being their driving force as a star or a young player, right? Because I remember when I was playing my first LANs and stuff, you get tunnel vision, like you get in the moment, and then as soon as you hit a wall you just have a blank, right?
Yeah.
It just stops, and then you have no way of getting back into it, like you're saying. Whereas this kid, he just seems like, obviously he's with other professionals so they can help him, guide him through. The coach is an example of that. Things have changed since our day, but the fact that it doesn't seem like that's even an issue for him. He doesn't rely on momentum because he's not an entry frag, or he's not like a second in. He's like towards the end of the pack.
He's a third guy.
Yeah, and I remember an interview that I was reading with him. He takes his time. He's very methodical. He likes to check every angle. That can be a problem, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and I mean another team that could use some of that momentum, that is perhaps has hit a little bit of a wall on a team level, is this OpTic side. I mean, we know these guys. We know they have the skill. We've seen the players shine. We've seen Rush just be this dominant force for this team. We've seen every one of this Mixwell, Tarek. These guys have all had games where they've just gone off and been able to carry, but something is not gelling right in this team at the moment, and they're sitting with their backs against the wall in this group.
Yeah, they feel like a team without an identity as of right now, and that's oftentimes a big problem, where you don't really know where to go with the utility that you have within your lineup, right? We know that the core four of that OpTic lineup has reached incredible heights, so there's no reason that there's not a lack of potential really within that. It's just about actually finding themselves, as cheesy as that sounds.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to be the impetus here for these guys, Chad? Is it going to be Rush? Is it going to be a guy like Tarek, who you'd expect to make some kind of a play to get them going? Is it going to be Mixwell with the AWP? I mean, who's going to be the guy to ignite this team?
I think Mixwell is like the most consistent factor that they have, but like a player like Naf is one with a huge ceiling to make plays, and it's something which you don't see consistently. If you did, well, to break it down even more, every player on this team can make plays. It's just who's going to show up and do it. And in their victories, when they've had them in the past, it's because someone's dropped 30, right? And it's hard to quantify as to why they can do that. But Cbble, it'll be an interesting map for them, I think.
I think that's actually not too bad for them. It's a map that they play quite a bit. Then again, it's also Mousesports' most played map. So this is not Mousesports going into unknown territory by any means. They're going to feel comfortable about going into this as well. They had that match versus Navi yesterday.
Yeah.
And we saw what kind of
huge first half.
Exactly, right. And I think OpTic are going to have a much harder time getting back into a game like that than what we saw Navi did.
Jason says huge first half, but also very small second half, right? Like, you have to weigh it up like that.
No, it goes both ways, definitely so. But I also think there's something to be said that Navi have more experience to play off. I think they have, even as much of a mess that Navi team is as of right now, I think it's fair to say that they stand stronger than that OpTic lineup.
Yeah, and now I mean the OpTic it seems we probably can't expect to make the same kind of comeback that Navi did. They need a hot start here. Either way, who do you think's going to win, OpTic or Navi, or excuse me, OpTic or Mousesports? Put it in the YouTube chat. Find out who's going to win. We'll bring that set up during the game at some point. See where all the fans are. Either way, we're going to be sending it over to your caster. Match is about to get live. It is going to be OpTic Gaming taking on Mousesports with Blue and Dazed.
All right, thank you very much, Moses. And yes, here on Cobblestone, we're getting prepped to start off Group B here on day number 2. Teams still vying for their playoff spot. I'm here with Days. The match is getting started in just a second. What are the initial thoughts heading into this map?
Well, just judging by the two teams and how they've been performing, I mean, you got to give Mousesports the edge. You know, we are going live. It is pistol right now if we could get in game. Oh, no. Sorry. They're knifing.
They're knifing.
Excuse me. But anyways, looked like it was just a mid-rush. But yeah, I mean, you gotta assume Mousesports is the better team, especially the way their like 3-headed, beasts have been playing in Dennis, Oscar, and Rops.
Yeah, absolutely. And as
They've just been beasts.
Yeah, they've been destroying so far with the games that we've seen in the mainstream anyway. Whereas with OpTic, it hasn't really been showing up so far, unfortunately, and they've been kind of lagging behind. And we really need to see those big stars coming out to play.
And it is on Cobble, which is a map that, especially on CT side, you really need good communication. You really need like no confusion. Everybody has to know what they're responsible for at any given time, or else you can just get destroyed. And from what we saw on OpTic, especially on Nuke, which is very similar on that CT side, where you need to have everybody know what they're responsible for when somebody goes down, right? You have to have that, or else you could there's going to be cracks in your defense everywhere, and you're going to get exploited, and you're going to lose because of it. And so OpTic needs to really improve upon what we saw on Nuke, because we did not see that last night.
Communication in general needs to just get a little bit better here for OpTic Gaming with how creative it seems like Mousesports have gotten over the past few days. They've been busting out a lot of new stuff that at least the two of us haven't really seen at previous events before. So if OpTic hasn't really done their homework and they're not really going to be prepped for any of that, especially on CT side, I feel like a lot of that's going to fall apart very quickly, and Mousesports is going to be able to abuse them on the T side.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely heavily favor Mousesports. I think just the way the Cobble map is really wide open on T side as well. Like you could make, once you take drop control, you can make a lot of plays as individuals as well, which really favors this Mousesports team, especially somebody like Oscar who played really well last night on Cobble as well. Another thing, like we saw them, not only were they able to play as individuals in that aspect, right? Just kind of taking map control pretty easily, taking drop control when they needed to, taking A-holes when they needed to, but then Rops was always just like closing out rounds, just being that hard lurker role whenever they went towards A, winning 3v3s, closing it out in those situations, and just being really impressive in general.
Yeah, well, it does look like, guys, we are finally going live now. So OpTic Gaming is going to be starting off on the T side, and Mousesports is going to be jumping over to the CT side. Another area you're definitely going to want to keep your eyes on is the contestant. That'll more than likely be happening quite a bit over towards A-Long. We saw yesterday how much Dennis was able to control that entire portion of the map when they were playing that there. And OpTic, for the most part, when they do just kind of stray away from what you're seeing now, which is like these straightforward default plays, the more likely lead over to B, they do like to use long A quite a bit. So that's probably going to get challenged if we see Dennis continue to play into that spot. But starting off with the pistol round, Mousesports did throw quite a few players over towards the A bomb site, which now leaves the B site slightly under-defended. The good news is, though, is that Chris J has already spotted this little bit of a push onto the platform. So in a few seconds, we may be able to expect a couple of rotates coming from the additional Mousesports players. But for right now, it is just Chris J and Rups sitting in the site, with Dennis on the way, being able to watch out for the drop window and easily able to rotate into the site if necessary. But OpTic haven't solidified their push over to here just yet either. They're still toying around with the mid connector, which they're now going to be able to push into. They dinked Oscar. That's going to send him way back over to the A-bomb site. And that's also probably going to keep a few players in that direction. So the moment OpTic are keeping their options open, it could fall down if they get crunched upon, like we're seeing now with Chris J going for that push up inside. But they tried it right back with Mixwell over here on A-Long as he's able to pick up the kill against Lowell. Tarek still chasing down the trade against Chris J. He's now down at 1 HP, but just unable to find that kill. The bomb is now here, though, so they've decided to go towards the B-bomb site, but they need to get in soon. They're getting low on time, 40 seconds remaining to get that bomb onto the ground, and they don't even have the whole team with them currently. They've only got this platform control. Nice shots from Jason R, though, brings another player from Mousesports down incredibly low. Chris J responding with one more pickup, but not only will he go down after that, Rups is also going to fall. Rush continues to push forward with Tarek as he eliminates Dennis, just leaves Oscar alive, who had already been dinked down to 13 HP. Tarek will get the final blow, ends up with the 3K on the round, and secures it for OpTic.
Yeah, and it looks like OpTic's strategy there is, so you get, Naf on that left corner, whoever has the best spawn, most likely, over those B halls, and then you flash over. And if you get the kill, once that player picks B plat on the CT side, which is really common on CT pistol, then you can go out B right away. But if you don't, then you slow it down, you take A halls control, and then you come back to B. So it gives them a couple opportunities to get kills, making it like a 4v4 or something like that. And I actually like that strat a lot.
Yeah, so now we are going to see in the second round here with OpTic having the advantage. They're still going to be swinging quite a few players over here towards A long. Oscar and Dennis playing together at the moment to try and hold on for control of that one. Flashbang is going to absolutely destroy Oscar though, and Dennis can't do anything from within side of that molly. He goes down at the hands of Naf, and Oscar is going to be able to retreat for right now. And oh, just blind firing with the Deagle through the smoke. He is able to actually trade one of their players out by eliminating Jason R. Rest of the team is now quickly trying to clear back out through mid connector, and through that they actually pick up a kill on Chris J, who went back in through the mid connector through smoke. So now it has gone back into the hands of OpTic. They have a 4v3 advantage, and they're pulling most of their players away from A, possibly to go over to the other site now. And now over towards B here. Ropes is going to be waiting just beyond the smoke. There's a few more players from OpTic are starting to group up to try and push over towards the platform. Ropes is going to be the one thing that can possibly stop this. Mousesports did have the good read on it, so they've properly rotated over here, and they have the positioning, but the gunpowder is still not going to be too great. Ropes, though, comes out with a big kill to start things off, and now Lowe's going to be in the party, but he can't get anything done. Both Ropes and Lowe will go down, and Oscar follows through as well. He'll be eliminated by Tarek, and OpTic will secure the second round.
Yeah, that was dangerous for OpTic. That definitely could have gone any way there. The crossfire by Rops and Lowell. I think Rops just needs to hide after that kill, makes it easier on Lowell. Also gives time for Oscar to come as well after that first frag. But, you know, obviously you're in that cubby, you're worried about nades, worried about Molotovs and whatnot. But at the end of the day, they're going to trade you if you do wide swing like that. Now they're just going to go with a 5 USP save. You're going to see Naf with the MAC-10 kind of scouting out middle. 4 players just running out B. Should be an easy round for OpTic.
Yeah, so now OpTic are going to try to swing themselves in and just clear this out pretty quickly. They're not taking this too slowly, as they've already picked up 2 kills for them, or 3 kills now for themselves. Jason R netting 2 of them, and Naf going for the last 2. He does get headshot by Oscar, however, so that'll be the 1 loss so far against the OpTic roster. It's not like Oscar wants to continue fighting, though, even though the round itself is definitely already gone. He'll just sit out here, see if anyone else from OpTic tries to hunt him down, and in the event they do, he may be able to rack up an extra kill or 2 before he himself ends up dead on the ground. So we can see as Tarek swings out, though, gets the headshot as he's falling down to close out on the round. And OpTic indeed secure the nice 3-0 start as Mousesports is finally going to be able to go for their buy. And they go right to the double op setup in the first gun round as well.
And we'll see how they want to take control of that A halls. If OpTic does it like they did on the Ansa Eco, I think that's a good starting point for a lot of their T-side rounds, just because Dennis has been so aggressive around there, right? And if you can, you know, isolate him, push him away from Oscar, get that kill while he is aggro, good things might be able to happen, might be able to make it 4v5. Oscar overly aggressive, Naf punishing that right away. See, he's going to opt for the op, or, you know, use the op over Mixwell this round.
Chris J does trade a kill back, though, against Mixwell as he tries to lurk his way past the boxes there beyond Broken Wall, and that will get punished by Chris J. So bringing this back down to an even 4v4. OpTic does have an open road through A long if they want to try to move in here and take control, just waiting for their own molly to fade so that they can move in and do that. But they're making a whole lot of noise in the process, so easily going to call for an extra player to rotate over here in the event they commit to it, which is a pretty likely event now that they've gotten 3 players into A long with no contestation at all. And in a moment, the bomb's going to be moving over here too. Most of the CT defense is focused on the outside of the mid connector, right at the bottom of the ramp, as you can see the silhouettes now. Dennis, along with Ropes, trying to play this one together and see if they'll be able to hold off the defense with just the 2 of them. The real problem is going to be the pinch working out from A-Long, but that also comes down to the timing. If OpTic execute with the long players first, this can work out, and that seems to be what they are doing. But now the mid players are going to be moving in, and so this crossfire setup can still work out great for them. Rops and Dennis both pick up initial kills, and now they have to try and trade it back. Jason R, in the meantime, has gotten all the way up to the platform because there's no actual defense set up on the site, but still, they have to battle it back and get this control, as the bomb is going to be tough to actually get up here, and Jason R needs to be careful to check his backside here, as Lowell's going to be able to easily spot that shadow. Doesn't even need him, however, as Rops just grabs the kill anyway from still at the very bottom of the ramp. It's now all down to Naf alone in a 1v4. No great positioning. A lot of these CTs could have shifted around, so his intel isn't really that great either. He's basically just guessing at being able to pick up some of these frags. Nice shot, connects on a Dennis, but it is a leg, so it's not going to fully take him down. And with 5 seconds left, he's just going to hunker down in the suicide steps and look to save the op.
Yeah, OpTic just sending Tarek out first and middle. I mean, really just no chance, right? He has an op, he has to clear the tight left angle and the tight right angle. Not much of a chance for him to get that. But you notice when it's 4v4, what does Chris J do? I know he wasn't the one that got any kills late there, but he had a big part in winning that round because he's watching E-Box and he's watching long B while he opts at that stair area. So he has, if they come B, he's going to have a ton of information. They're going to have a ton of time to rotate, and he's also watching E-Box as well, and they can essentially just have 3 players towards A.
And so now Chris J is going to continue to play aggressively here now as he goes for the early out peak. Not going to connect this time around. And he also does not decide to stick around this time. He will be falling back further into the site as the CTs do look just to deploy normal amounts of utility to hold off the push from OpTic. Well, it's not entirely going to end up working here. It's going to be close contact, though, for Lowell as he pushes himself back up onto the broken wall. Tarek continuing to try and push through early. Gets denied for a second time now. And we'll give Mousesports another early 5v4 advantage. As OpTic more than likely going to end up getting pushed back to reevaluate their strat here. And Mousesports will be able to continue to hold that aggressive control. Lowell's going to change up his spot into the cubby on the platform. The rest of the team still circulating around and looking for options as they change up the main point of contention over towards drop. Just trying to clear that out first before they do commit to it. And the bomb is being kept back, so this could potentially turn into a drop split on A as well. But that could actually be really troublesome, especially with the bomb's current position outside of the mid connector, and the CTs have 2 players holding there in their own regard. The bomb's on its way back now, so they are going to try to move in here. Great shot from Chris J, though, to be able to eliminate NAF, as OpTic just can't find a hole to try and poke through to get into this B-bomb site. Mixwell looking for more options now as he's trying to clear back out through drop, but the main push force out here through the platform still hasn't even started, and there's only 20 seconds remaining. Lowell can easily swing back out. He's almost just got the double kill, and in fact, he has done it. Jason R and Rush both go down. OpTic, once again, just not able to get anything done with their entry power, and it leaves only Mixwell alive now with the drop room under his control. He'll pick up 1 kill, swings around the 360 quickscope on Lowell, but then does go down after that to Rups to close out the round.
Yeah, I mean, OpTic, they just get shut down at B. All the nades coming out. I think it was Tarek there that died first, right?
Yeah.
Trying to go out through the smokes. They get smoked out. They're saying, hey, this isn't going to work. Let's go down drop. And then the timing really was just in Chris J's favor there, right? Naf clears that angle. He's posted up for a little bit. As soon as he goes to just, clear more angles, a little bit closer angle, I think he was going to clear the close left of E-box. That's when Chris J peaks. So timing just working out for Mousesports' favor there. And not only that, but just really good nade usage, right, to stop anything coming out of B.
Yeah, and this is the first tactical pause being used now by OpTic. These first 2 gun rounds have gone relatively poorly for them, so they need to take a moment to sit back and reevaluate their strat. Probably won't be seeing them going for a big investment on this round. They're probably going to end up like half buying or just upgrading pistols into this one. But after this is where you're going to want to pay attention, as hopefully they'll evolve their strat a little bit to counter out Mousesports and actually be able to get into a site to start things off here, as they've been struggling right from the get-go of it and have been pretty much shut down by Mousesports in the last 2 attempts to breach through on a gun round. And indeed, as you see, they are just going to end up with Deagles, P250s, and Tech 9s. Only 2 players purchasing armor as well. So looking from the looks of things, it's probably going to be a pretty straightforward strat from OpTic on this round. Already trying to send Tarek out once more over towards the platform. He will be delayed because of the Molotov, and I'm imagining there's going to be a smoke after that. But after that, we will more than likely see OpTic just go through with drop control and then make their best attempt to get out onto this B-bomb site. Lowell being the main player to hold outside of drop. He's going to have another chance to multi-frag, although Flashbang ends up connecting onto him. Thankfully, Chris J still holds good control by Coop, so he's able to pick up that kill into Rush. So far, the only kill the T's have even gotten has come from Mixwell, but that'll change now with Jason R also stealing a frag off of Chris J. That's going to be it, though. After that, Mousesports do pretty handily shut that one down, and OpTic again fall flat on Nico.
I mean, they're just not really making it difficult for Mousesports. You know if you're OpTic, you're going up against a double up setup. You see Chris J with op, you see Oscar with op. Most teams in that scenario are going to say, hey, let's just do a little bit more of an investment. Let's get Tech 9 armor. We're still going to be able to buy the next round, get some smokes and flashes, and just try to do some type of like a B execute where you could run through the smokes, maybe catch people off guard, and have a good chance of winning the round. Instead, they just, get a couple of Deagles there, half armor flashes. It's just, not really giving yourself the best chance to win the round.
Decent nade coming out from Dennis here to punish the aggression from the T's leading up to A long. However, they return back with a flashbang, and at the moment, Mousesports are not too aggressive in terms of actually trying to challenge this control. There is going to be a nice smoke that comes out just in the nick of time as the molly was starting to fade so that they can maintain that control. But the problem is, in doing this, they left the actual push up from the ramp completely open. So OpTic just flooded the site and got it for free. They're going to have no problem putting that bomb on the ground. This is going to be a full 5v5 retake at the end of the day. And Mouse is even trying to be careful of the hallway leading up to heaven, as they're curious if OpTic are going to try to boost up there. So at the moment, Mousesports are taking a risk deploying towards A-Long. It worked out. They held that A-Long control, but they lost the actual site as they weren't able to call that out quickly enough, and the rotate just came way too late to be able to do anything about it. So now OpTic is a full 5-man hold, and Mousesports are looking for options to get back in, but it's not great right now just because they have no intel. They have no clue where the OpTic players are sitting from within this site. Rups is going to start us off, though, as he moves in with the elimination of Rush, but immediately 2 kills get traded back by Tarek and Mixwell. Dennis finding one more as he moves back in, but Tarek trades it right back yet again with the elimination of Dennis. A great shot from Oscar. Knocks out Mixwell over by the main doorway, and Lowell moving in just in time. Tries to save his teammate, but that's going to fail. At the end of the day now, it's now come down to Tarek. Trying to pop the head off of Lowell, but he can't find it. Now he's in the open over to the Glock, though, and he finishes it off. He'll die to the bomb explosion, but OpTic do indeed win out the round.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a great read by them. They recognize Mousesports' trend to sometimes do this. They send those 2 players towards long. They have Oscar watching middle from danger. He's above it. But, you know, if you smoke off danger, you just have free passage into the site. They also keep him there because they smoke long A kind of deep. And that way Oscar's just going to be thinking there's a little bit of pressure towards Dennis and whatnot. You saw him utilizing nades, just seeing players around there. And they say, oh, it's a double long setup. Let's just smoke danger. Let's go up middle. We have free passage to the site. And then from there, it's a really tough retake by Mousesports. I thought Mousesports did a really good job of giving themselves even a chance to win that situation. Rop's very, very careful around there. You see how methodical he is. Sponge was mentioning it on the analyst desk, and he really is. He checks every angle. He was very slow. That kill is not a kill you usually get with that guy underneath heaven. Manages to get that, gives themselves a chance. But at the end of the day, OpTic did win that round, but all 5 players died. Yeah, all 5. Now look at their buy.
You'll see the immediate effects of that as soon as we get the overlay back on the screen here with the pause now ending. That was the first tactical pause from Mousesports now. Both teams have used their first pause and have 3 30-second pauses remaining.
And this is where OpTic, in my opinion, really shined and thrived when they had Stanislav, was when they had buys like this. They were really good at converting on these rounds with just nades, Tech 9s, armors, a couple AKs or whatever. And Mousesports, you know, they have the single off, and you know, it's pretty even by round right now.
Yeah. OpTic looking to go back to their original strategies over here towards B, which is very straightforward, and these are the ones that Mousesports were able to shut down without really any trouble whatsoever. But with the uneven buys coming in for both sides, this could make this whole round a bit troublesome. That Molly missing actually could be big problems for OpTic, as it opens up a huge lane for Mousesports to rotate closer to this platform on. They changed it up at the last second, though, to move heavily into drop, but Dennis still able to hold it. Tarek looks for his entry, but Chris J bails out his teammate there by picking up the kill first. Rop's also destroying another player, trying to push out towards platform. That'll leave Naf dead, and now we're in a 2v5 with basically no damage being done to anyone on Mousesports. That's going to change now, though, with Rush picking up the kill on Oscar, and Mousesports bit fully on this rotation, so OpTic were actually able to find a hole to go out of the window, move themselves over to A, and now they have a free plant sitting on this site. Jason R still has to hold off the site, however, and fend off these rotates until the bomb goes on the ground, which has now happened. And Jason R is actually being given a lot of room. He's been moving into the crawl space. He's got to watch his flank, though, in a moment. He's going to be knocked out and completely flanked, but still able to hold on. Gets 2 more kills out of nowhere. Now all the pressure shifts over to Rush, however, in the 1v2. His teammate certainly helped him out quite a bit, bringing Lowell down to 10 HP, but he still has to eliminate Rups. The good news is, though, is that in the 1v2, they have no clue where he's hiding at. It gets himself into the open, but looks the wrong way. So Rups is going to be able to shut it down, eliminates Rush, and that'll give it to Mousesports, but definitely a close one, going up 4-4.
Yeah, a really good decision by Lowell to flank there. The ump drop-off damage really hurting him there. Not able to kill Jason R when he was close, and Jason R able to get those 2 kills after that. But you know, the actual take, right, of OpTic, which is so disconnected. You see what they wanted to do. They wanted to go out B, and while they go out B and make a bunch of noise and make everybody look at them, then they go out drop and pinch. This is a round I'm very surprised that they're saving here. They all have around 2K in the bank. They know that Mousesports is on a very limited economy. You know, only winning that round with 2 alive as Oscar makes it 45 right off the bat, and they just go for a straight mid-rush. But I'm surprised this isn't a buy.
Yeah, Oscar knows there's more coming, switching over to the pistol to try and hold it back off. Rush, good trades, though, picking up both the kills on Dennis and Oscar, so that's all of the A-long defenders. Problem is, though, is it became very obvious that they were trying to brute force their way into the A bomb site, so they do have to hold off for a few extra seconds here. Mixwell is still going to sit back over towards the edge of A-long. I think he has vision of the door at the moment. He might be still a little bit more behind the wall to be able to actually peek out into that, but Chris J, regardless, peeking into it, almost loses his life, but stay close enough behind coverage to be able to keep himself in the game. Mixwell, after missing that shot, though, is now going to fall back, grouping up with the rest of his teammates towards the B halls, and we'll see in a second if they decide to follow through with that and attempt to execute into the site, which is actually now pretty undefended. Mousesports just went for a 1-1-1 split after they lost Oscar and Dennis at A long. So just trying to keep them evenly spaced apart and give them the best bet to be able to rotate into this hit. That's putting a lot of extra pressure on Lowell now, however, especially after Rups went all the way over towards the doorway, so he's actually pretty disconnected and won't be able to easily just hold off the door and have that position. But thankfully, because OpTic are still taking the usual route with the molly clear out of drop, it's going to give Rups that extra time to be able to rotate over here and actually get himself into the site where he's immediately going to impact. The double kill from him shuts down the drop play. Now it's only Mixwell left alive. 2 missed shots. Third strike probably is going to be coming pretty soon here. Now he's down to 7 HP with nowhere to go. And yeah, he's just going to give up on this one completely, running away to save with only 15 seconds remaining on the clock.
Yeah, so he's going to be able to salvage that op unless, who is this? Chris J is just hunting for him. Might be able to find Mixwell here. We'll see.
He's going to check that one specific corner, though, and Mixwell is going to hear him coming. He thinks he's up top, though, so yeah, Chris J gets the advantage there. And not only does he die, he dies after the timer.
Yeah, so Mixwell will be down to probably a Tech 9 this round. I'm just really surprised, though, that they didn't buy there. I mean, they know they only had 2 alive. They know they were on a limited buy that round. Usually on Cbble, you aggressively buy ST. You almost always see teams aggressively buy, so I'm very surprised by that. I mean, they still managed to get down to a 3v3, very winnable situation. Just Rops destroyed them.
Yeah, they gave him too much time to rotate back over, so he was able to pretty much shut down the entire drop play, which if those guys got out without Rops being there, it actually probably would have been a pretty successful hold, and the retake might have not even been a possibility. Oscar overpeaking again towards A long, though, is going to find himself dead on the ground early in the round with Nav picking up the kill.
But that's a kill that he should get 9 times out of 10. He just aimed off of him, I think, while he was posted up, or might have been moving or something, but I guarantee you he's just saying, how did I just miss that? And it's funny because I actually like him taking that pick because, you know, he died doing it before to Naf when Naf was offing, remember? But it just shows Oscar's mentality. You know, Oscar's mentality is he's going to go for picks. He's not going to be afraid. He could be 0-9, and it doesn't matter. Like, he's still going to be aggressive. And that's the mentality you want out of players.
Well, now OpTic are trying to group up to try and basically just go for a direct hit towards A more than likely in a few seconds. This is a great thing that Mousesports did at the beginning of the round, decide to go for a 3-man stack towards A long, as they still have Dennis here, which can open up an early flank, or possibly just take out Jason R. We'll find that out in a moment, but you also have Rups, who's rotated back over and is going to once again immediately find that impact. He only gets the 1 kill, but Dennis is doing some work along with Chris J. With those two combined, they managed to pick up 3 kills, and everything goes down to Tarek, who now has to go up against both Dennis and Lowell to try and clutch this one out in the 1v2. The good news is, though, is that both the Mousesports' players are going to be extremely far away on the rotate, so Tarek's going to have plenty of time to set up here. He just doesn't have any utility to play it out, and obviously has to do the guessing game in terms of finding Lowell here. But in the timing being perfect, moves out, finds Dennis. He just saw Lowell there, so now he can hide behind the APC and try to play with him like he did a few rounds back. Doesn't even need to, though. Lines himself up in the perfect angle to take down Lowell, and OpTic get right back into the game yet again now, tying us up at 5-5.
Good work by Chris J, though. They had pretty early information. I think Dennis was probably hearing them come up middle. And it was almost like a full rotate. And Tarek just able to win that nice 2v1 at the end there. We do see a pause comes out from Mousesports. So they're probably wondering, you know, should we buy right here? We know, obviously, once again, the money of both teams has been pretty low these past few rounds. And they know that OpTic only won with 1 alive, right? So OpTic, though, you know, after this pistol, they've won a couple important rounds. Just that round was huge, just to put them in this spot where it is 5-5, and they do have a good economic damage or economic advantage going into this round. So Mousesports talked it over. They are going to buy. It's just going to be, you know, 2 5.7s, a scout, a mag 7, and whatever Oscar decides to get, which is enough.
Yeah. I mean, overall, this game has been pretty much neck and neck so far here. You know, excluding the obviousness of the scoreline. Besides the 3-round streak that was won by both teams, we've pretty much been going back and forth for the last 4 rounds now, with these guys trying to stack up some points for themselves. So nobody really has a huge advantage, and it is leading to multiple gun rounds now where we have these really uneven or forced into buys in the case of Mousesports. OpTic definitely getting the better of the arsenal this time in terms of not only the gun power but the utility. But however, Mousesports still have a few tricks up their sleeve they can use. Dennis on the shotgun can certainly do some damage with OpTic's tendency to try and play into A long so often here. He could multi-frag, and single-handedly set up this round for a victory. Yeah, the flashbang's going to be great. They're putting him into the corner, but do they even realize he's there? Yes, they do. Oscar trades it back with 2 additional kills, though, and brings it down to a 3v3, hurling the bomb further back and probably going to send it into the B halls, but even that area may not be safe in a moment. Here's Lowell pushing in, almost gets that kill against Rush, but he's able to maintain. Now Mixwell, seeing that the site might be a little bit more open here, tries to push out through drop, but faces some trouble against Chris J. Tags him down to 26 HP, and Chris J is going to continue to try and move in, hold a more aggressive spot on this site. He's got to watch out for that push from the drop room, though. He's very exposed to it and can't hit any more shots. Great shot from Rups, though, as he moves back in, eliminating Mixwell, and certainly making this a valid 2v2 if he can set himself up well enough. The smoke moving in on the sidewalk gives him a free path to cross out onto the site. But the OpTic players have also taken up great positioning to try and counter him out. He will have to take them both on at the same time if he wants to try and clutch this or wait until the smoke fades. Terra going to take a bit of a risk, though, in pushing through the smoke. And now, all of a sudden, we're down to a 1v1 with Rush having to clutch this for the T side. Ropes, though, moving in, wasting a whole lot of time trying to hunt down his opponent. And all that noise being made makes it obvious to Rush. He'll be able to take down the Mouse and give the next round here to OpTic.
Yeah, really difficult situation to be put in if you're Rops there. Just in that 1v1, you just really have no idea where Rush is. You just picked wrong, right? Essentially, you just have to pick. You have to say, hey, he's either stairs, at the box at B, or at the box at Broken Wall, in upper B, or chicken coop. And you just picked chicken coop, and he was just wrong. He didn't even have a kit, so he had to just full commit. Not sure what Tarek was doing there, though. That made no sense. That move was not good. But at the end of the day, they do win the round, forcing Mousesports on another eco. So winning the important rounds here, OpTic is, even though I don't think they've looked, essentially like great or anything so far, but they've been taking advantage of Mousesports A, to be honest. Oscar and Dennis, I know they got 2 kills there, Oscar did, but more often than not, this A site hasn't been, the best for them.
They set themselves up for success, and now they're finally going to be rewarded with the possibility to push ahead here and get themselves a little bit of a round advantage, which has been an uncommon thing so far in this match, ever since we got past the first 6 rounds or so.
Yeah, I think that OpTic probably did their homework, just judging by what I see, and they have a really good idea of how they're playing. As Rops goes 1 for 1 there, they're going to molly out B and just take control. There's only Chris J here with a USP in the site.
Yeah, I believe the rotates are still another like 2 seconds away, and they're going to find themselves just straight out in the open against duels versus OpTic players. So this one's going to easily go into the hands of OpTic, although quite a few players end up low, and they will lose Tarek there, but still 4 alive gives them that extra bonus money. So in the event Mousesports win out in this next round here, they're still going to be able to respond with another full buy in the 14th round.
Yeah, I do think, though, just watching OpTic and how they're playing, it seems like they know kind of how Mousesports wants to play long A. That one round that they just completely bypassed it, that was probably something that they were like, hey, when they smoke off long here, they're both there. We could just run up danger and run up middle. So I think that's a big part of why they have gotten the better of Dennis and Oscar so far this game.
Lowell once again holding close to the broken wall to try and challenge the early push from OpTic. It's no longer Tarek leading the charge here either. Now Mixwell will take up that role in trying to breach the site. He's having trouble navigating through it, and he's definitely suspicious of a CT pushing in. Didn't realize that Lowell was standing directly behind him, however, so once again Lowell succeeds in translating that first kill for Mousesports. However, OpTic have been able to recover from these disadvantages before, so that's not going to put them out of the round just yet. Very similarly to the past rounds, though, OpTic, after losing that player, are just going to sit back here at the platform, run down the timer a little bit before they attempt to re-execute. No one else on the A side of things is getting really aggressive from Mousesports either, so OpTic are still in a relatively safe position. It's all about how exactly they intend to re-execute here, and if that's going to align properly to counter the setup, which is now alive for Mousesports.
This has pretty much happened every time they try to go B. They just get, Mixwell was getting pelted by nades. Nade after nade after nade after flash after smoke. It was just like he had no chance there. And then you saw one pushes through the smoke at Broken Wall and one pushes to the stairs. He had no chance.
Just gets completely cornered, and we've seen, as you were mentioning, we've seen that happen like 3 or 4 different times now with OpTic trying to go for these straightforward hits. But it is looking like OpTic are going to decide to go back to it regardless of the failure there a few moments ago. And now Rops and Lowell are going to once again have their opportunity to shut this one back down, but Tarek finds the first mark. Rops now going to try to respond, though. Picks up the 2 for 1 before going down in the cubby, and Oscar finding another kill leaves it all onto Naf alone. The 1v3. I don't even know if he realized Chris J. Yeah, he saw him. So he's going to look for the trade kill now, finds it, but at a heavy cost, down at 9 HP. It's easy for Dennis to roll back out on the platform, trade him out, and secure the round for Mousesports.
Yeah, but that B-side defense so far, you see what they wanted to do. They tried to do it the round before, not the direct round before, but earlier on in the half, where Mixwell gets out. It's a very common strat that people are doing, and you get one out there around that box, and then you set up to execute, and you can just fly out. You don't have to worry about checking all these different corners. But Mousesports ready for it, and they stopped that twice in a row now.
Yeah, and OpTic is now going to call for their second pause, I believe. Since, once again, things are still relatively close, and they need to try and push themselves ahead. They do have the money to be able to buy here, so they're going to end up going for it. Mixwell just bought fully in, so I think the rest are going to follow in a second. But they need to try and push themselves ahead up towards 9 if they want to make this a successful half.
They gotta just stop trying to fight Rops. I mean, the guy's 16.
That's a pretty valid
now.
point, actually.
Like, just stop it. This guy's destroying you guys.
I mean, they've been pretty good at getting the A long control, but they haven't really been utilizing it.
That's where their main successes come, is just, you know, like I said, I really do think they probably watched how Mousesports has played Cbble. They probably were ready. They knew Mousesports probably wanted to play it. It was a map that they could pick, and really antied them pretty well.
I mean, you can just look at Dennis's scoreline compared to yesterday's matches, where he was like dominating. He's bottom fragging now for the team just because he can't get anything done at A long anymore. OpTic have completely countered him out and basically made him a non-factor for this entire half so far.
Yeah, and I mean, they've taken Oscar out of the game as well. You know, twice now he's pushed towards it. And look, they're doing the exact same thing. They're saying, hey, they're set up in A long. Let's just run straight up middle.
Yeah, now they're going to try to move in. The thing is, though, is I think Mousesports catches on to it a lot more easily this time. So you already have Oscar at the edge of the alleyway, going to try and stop their easy push to the platform. They're not even checking for the spot either, but Oscar a little bit messy on that first spray. They know where he is, but for whatever reason, Naf's not paying attention to it. So Oscar gets away with a double kill and stays alive. Rops again in this site, gets the double kill for himself. Everything's down to Mixwell now, and he won't even get close. Mousesports shut it down yet again on the A-bomb site and ties up at 7-7 going into the last round.
Yeah, that was just a great adaptation from Mousesports to realize what's happening very early on, and you see how quickly Oscar and Dennis did get set up there. They anticipated that and saw what OpTic was doing and reacted to it right away and reacted properly.
And that's going to put OpTic onto a pretty poor buy for the last round here as a result of the consistent trading going back and forth. Definitely not going to favor the T's under these circumstances. So Tech 9s and P250s are all they're going to be able to bring. Decent utility at the very least, so they can still set up for a usual type of smoke setup or anything like that they want to go for. But the actual execute now wants to be on Tech 9s. And that's going to be a little bit unfortunate as they've struggled to do much on these half-buy or full-save rounds throughout most of this half. Lowell, though, once again, first at the bat, but oh, he eats a flashbang on the way, and so he's actually not going to be able to stop the first 2 or 3 players that move in. Doesn't even get a trade kill when he finally can peek back out. It's Chris J that is most of the trading so far. Oscar picking up one as well, but he's in an elongated duel with Mixwell. Unfortunately, Mixwell is now the last man alive, and he will finally go down to Oscar as Mousesports take the advantage at the end of the half. They'll lead 8-7. A very back-and-forth match we do have before us, though, ladies and gentlemen, so stick with us as the second half is coming up right after this break.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, Lenovo Legion, Xfinity, ESCA, Pay Safeguard, Mountain Dew League, Logitech G, and Zowie.
And we are back once again, folks, with OpTic Gaming versus Mousesports here. Neither team really able to get themselves any huge advantages in the first half, so it's deadlocked at 7-8, as you can see before you. Mousesports, though, their ability to consistently shut down over on the B bomb side kept them in the game, and now they hold a slight lead coming off their T side. We are going live now with the second half, so now it is Mousesports' turn to jump over to the T side, and we'll see how OpTic fare on the defense. This one's the big question for OpTic, though. How are they going to fare if Mousesports brings a next level tactical ability to this T side here? Tries to throw them with a bunch of fakes and whatnot. So in we go. Let's take a look at who's going to get the advantage right off on the pistol round. Just started off here, Mousesports are pretty much just going to send their players in a straightforward play over towards drop. The only player that's going outside is Rops, but unfortunately for him, he's going to find himself going up against the whole bunch of CTs if he can test for it. This is going to be a really weird round just from the way it's shaping up right now. The 4-man rush in drop and the 4-man push out through middle here has now put Rops in a great position because I don't think he actually revealed himself, and now we're going to have a bunch of awkward duels, but the bomb has gone down. Tarek, though, strikes first with the elimination of Oscar right outside of A-Long. Rops now striking back from the backside here in middle. He is going to funnel the CTs back into the site as they try to force their way in. Rops now down, though, so that's pulled a lot of the pressure off of OpTic, and they can focus fully on this retake, especially after Tarek picks up a kill though onto Rops. This will definitely make Mousesports a little bit more worried about their own safety as Naf pushes in Chris J, and Naf again taking kills back and forth, but it has left it all on Chris J to clutch this in a 1v2 as he sneaks out looking to stop the defuse. He's got the first kill. He has to race over to Naf now to be able to shut him down, and he just barely gets it there, securing the second half pistol for Mousesports as they're going to shoot ahead 9-7.
I mean, just a straight drop rush to A, and there's like 3 players in middle, so it essentially becomes like a CT retake on their own site with like 4 players alive. That was a really odd round to see.
Just aligned in a really weird way since both of them decided to rush and go for a bit of a risky strat. Plays out well for Mousesports, though, as they are able to keep things together, and Chris J comes in with a big 4K to clutch it out. Now for the rest of Mousesports, though, they're keeping that pace going into the second round as they swing themselves through A-Long, meaning no contention there. The first of it they're going to find is from Jason R. back on it mid, but he's got a good setup. His teammate distracting. He's already picked up the 1 kill after he lost Mixwell back up on top of the ramp, but he can also find this second one if he goes for it here. Having trouble, though, and he will fall to Dennis, leaving it into a 4v3 with the rest of OpTic, though, rotating in. Jason R did just buy a good 5 to 10 seconds for his teammates to get positions either right outside or within this bomb site to hopefully defend it and try to upset on the eco. And they may have a good chance at that, but Naf being dinked down to 11 HP, certainly not going to help their case. And Mousesports also just taking a nice slow roll to this one after they know Jason R had delayed them for quite a bit, so they're also going to be aware of the fact that OpTic is probably sitting just around this site. For the moment, though, Tarek did rotate back, trying to make sure no one else tried to swing the bomb in the other direction and push it out onto the platform. He'll be chilling over there on B, which leaves only Rush and Naf with a few pistols to defend this entire site when Mousesports in a few seconds here do finally decide to re-execute and push back in. That decision to split Tarek off may end up being what cost them the round, as now Naf gets aggressive, tries to go hunting for some intel, and finds himself dead at the hands of Chris J, leaving only Rush here to defend it. And not a great position either. He's going to be very exposed and going for these peaks. A good shot against Dennis, bringing him down to 27 HP, but there's not really anywhere to go from here, and it's looking like both Rush and Tarek are going to decide to fall back and just let Mousesports have this round.
I like it by Mousesports. Just, hey, it's a 4v4, or 4v3, excuse me. We took a while to kill Jason. The rotate could be here. Let's just wait, let them reset, and then we'll re-exec on the A site. That was very nice by them. And you notice when they reset, they weren't like out in the open at middle. They got even more passive. They were saying, hey, if somebody wants to do anything for information, they're probably going to push into us, try to flank us while we're going towards B, because that's what they're going to think, and then we're just going to get really easy frags. So they get even more passive. And then probably when they hit A, they can just have one guy watching the back, right?
Yeah.
And that one guy watching the back, like if a CT is flanking, he's going to get an easy kill and whatever. It might be 3v3 at the site or something like that, but as soon as that's known, you know, he can come up and fight. And they also knew nobody was coming towards the site for a while because they were watching that APC for a bit. But I do like it by Mousesports. So now they're going to save the 2 guns and Tarek and Rush with some armor. But a really fast anti-eco around that last round. It looks like Mousesports probably going to do more of the same.
Yeah, and OpTic aren't going to fare much better either. Obviously, they have the 2 saved players, but besides that, it is just pretty much P250s and defaults going into the third round, and we can expect Mousesports to run through this one pretty quickly, especially with Tarek being the only one to defend Mousesports' site of choice. He'll try his best to get some damage off, and he's actually doing a decent job. Tags 2 players. It's just that now the other 4 are completely off-site, and with Lowell already taking up this position inside of the window, there There's basically zero room for an OpTic response, and we will be seeing that 11th round go up onto the board. Dennis just gets tired of waiting for Low to get those kills, so he hops out himself. We'll pick up 2 before going down to Mixwell, and Mixwell just dives in, hoping to get the knife kill. Not going to happen this time, though.
I mean, all 3 rounds so far, Mousesports has just, like, picked right every single time.
Yep.
CT Pistol, they just ran uncontested almost into the A site. Second round, they rushed A. I think they might have fought one person there, right? Took the site.
Yep.
And then, well, I mean, they got into 3v4, but, and then there, you know, just pick right again. Just go to a solo scouter 5v1. So far, Mousesports kind of winning the mind game, just being one step ahead of OpTic.
In OpTic, I mean, they don't even get a whole lot of kills, which means their utility is going to be pretty bad now going into this first gun run. You can see it's basically just rifles, and then they have a couple smokes to toss around here. They've already obviously used a few of them within these first couple of seconds of the round, but in terms of what they have to actually react to Mousesports' take is not going to be that much, as they send most of their players over towards A-Long. And even on this gun round, like you saw this in the pistol and the anti-ecos, or the ecos for OpTic, that they weren't really putting a whole lot of defense towards A-Long, but that philosophy also has seemed to carry through into the gun round now, as they're keeping no one over towards A-Long to defend it. Just Jason R outside of the mid-connector. Great flash, though. He's going to be able to move in, but he's got to check his other side. Lowell's given full time to recover and then peek back out to eliminate Jason R. He did get dinked, so he's down pretty low. He's kind of stuck in this corner for right now. There's the nade from Naf. Finally gets the trade kill, but still, that should have been a free kill. No room for a trade at all. Now as more move in, though, Rush able to pick up an additional find for himself, but Dennis trades out onto Naf, keeping it even into a 3-on-3. Mixwell looking to impact as he pushes himself up the ramp, but he too is going to fall, this time to Chris J. OpTic, with just Rush and Tarek remaining, are going to send both of them together outside of the crawl space. The Molly's going to funnel them together, however, and this is going to end pretty quickly at the hands of Oscar, who picks up both the remaining kills, securing a 12th for Mousesports.
Yeah, and anytime you can get into that A site in like a 3v3 and Oscar's alive and he's around long A, just anywhere around that wood wall area or long A, like he just always seems to just get 2 or 3 kills and close out the round. Rush did a good job killing at ROPS, but really that round comes down to Mixwell. You know, his spot was not given up. Naf got the nade kill onto middle. He's got to come through and end up winning that round for his team. But Chris J just, you know, running around with an takes him out in the 3v3, and that's the big turning point in the round.
Well, again, we end up in a bit of a light buy situation for OpTic Gaming, as they are going to try to gamble stack for yet another round, and it's not going to pay off. It's looking like for a 4th time now, Mousesports are going to make the right choice when faced against a similar setup like this. So it's all to Naf to defend the B-bomb side, although with hearing this Molly, he may call for the rotates. This kind of depends on how OpTic have decided to play these situations, but it's not looking likely that the rotates are going to arrive soon enough. So Naf's going to get creative, and I like what he's doing. Hiding in the smoke, it just doesn't really work out, as Rops is able to spot that, as he always does, eliminates Naf, and that's the round right there. The best hope now for the remaining 4 OpTic players is to set up at exit positions and hope to pick up a few kills that way.
Yeah, again, they just pick right.
Yep. Like I said, 4th time now that it's happened, so.
No, Mousesports is really, I mean, I don't know. I got my first look at him about like 3 weeks ago. I was watching him a bit, and they've just really impressed me, man. Like, I didn't think they'd play as tactically and as intelligently as they had. I didn't think drops would be this like impressive. I mean, this guy is insanely good. And then they have good complementary pieces. They have a really good double op setup when they want to double op. Chris J seems to be like he's coming along really well as a caller. Like whenever we're watching Mousesports or what I've seen from them so far, it's usually not the craziest strategies or anything, but you never see like these terrible plays generally where they're just getting outstratted in 5v5 CS and the rotates aren't good and things like that. And I mean, they're just a really good team.
Well, into the next gun round, then OpTic do take the risk this time of going for the double up setup. That is going to reduce their utility output by quite a bit, as Nat's not going to be able to buy anything at all behind his op. But they also have the extra firepower to add into it. They're finally actually going to put some pressure over towards A-Long finally to just stop Mousesports from walking into there every round for free. But it's going to be short-lived, as after they deploy, I think it was a Molly they threw back out there. They'll send Jason R back to defend the site as he usually does, and then just keep Mixwell here with the op. So Jason R is on not taking the bottom ramp position. He did that 2 different rounds now, so it's going to be very obvious if he sticks down there.
And, I mean, already a minute 15 into the round, OpTic only has 2 smokes and just a few flashbangs.
Mixwell also missing that first shot. That's A-Long control gone once again, and forced to use, I believe, another smoke off of Jason R's off of Jason R's body there to try and hold off the A-long pressure for a few extra seconds. It'll work, obviously, but still, it's not going to leave much to defend the site with, as Mousesports has been looking clean on their entries for the most part. And OpTic, that should put most of the focus on the retakes, but it hasn't worked out so far.
But this is good, though, because they have Nap with B plat control, so that means this A rotate's going to come fast.
Jason R with a nice double kill. It will get traded out by Oscar, as the hole's been opened up into the A bomb site. Mixwell now is up to bat to defend it here as he tries to play into the broken wall, and he actually gets the shot onto Oscar as well, looking for a second, and he'll hit it with the Molotov now obscuring him slightly against Lowell. It's brought all down to Rops with only 28 seconds left in the round. Basically an impossible situation before him. But we'll see how well he's able to try and play this out. Bombs on the ground as well. Actually won't be surprising if, yeah, he decides to just run back and save the AK, as there's just no way he's getting into that site in time.
Yeah, and Mousesports strat there, you know, they do the wall smokes to try to get up towards the site, but OpTic's, you know, set up perfectly. Jason, the first line of contact, what does he do? He gets 2 kills. Mixwell back into the site. Essentially, the smokes don't do anything for him, right? Because Jason R and Mixwell are set up, positionally speaking, where the smokes just don't matter. You know, those smokes are to stop the rotate and to stop anybody playing around middle, you know, not shooting them when they come towards the site. And also, OpTic not only was the first line of defense really good with Jason, but they had a really good mid-round rotation into taking that B flat control at about minute 10 or so. They smoked the middle of it, or smoked the end maybe. I'm not sure where their smoke landed. And then NAF kind of took control. And that allowed them to send, you know, that double rotate as well. So even if Jason R only got like 1 kill there, they probably win that round.
Mousesports are not going to be shaking too much at the loss of that round just yet, though, as they held quite a bit of cash in their reserves, so no problem at all to buy back into it. And OpTic are still going to be really low, as that is brought down to just a few crucial players at the end of it. And by reinvesting back into the double op setup, it leaves basically no money remaining should they drop this round with minimal saves. Mousesports going for a much more direct strategy here in this 22nd round, just right out onto the ramp itself. And Jason R, completely blinded and moving, gives himself away to Dennis. Mixwell's there forward in front of the APC to trade out the kill, and he takes out Rops as well, which is a pretty big pickup, swiping at a huge group of players, so he definitely gets the luck of the draw on that one. Now looking for more, though. Rush is going to be able to take out Lowell, and he follows it through with the second, eliminating Dennis. Great defense being put up with the delay caused by Mixwell. The hesitation from Mousesports has cost them dearly, as now they're in a 2v3, put apart as well, but Oscar just peeking directly inside of the crawl space to find Naf, and all of a sudden the tables have turned. It's just Tarek alone in a 1v2, but he has the bomb to play with and gets 1 and 2 kills to clutch it out and give the round to OpTic, keeping them in this match and starting the comeback for them.
Yeah, it fell apart pretty quickly there for OpTic, as Chris J is able to get those 2 kills and Oscar just flanking the person watching their own back. But Tarek again wins another 2v1. That's pretty much the same spot that he won the 2v1 before, when you know, he was a T and the bomb was actually planted. Now he does it again as CT. Salvages the op as well from Oscar. We'll see. Mousesports will probably buy here. They'll certainly buy, actually. They definitely have enough money. So OpTic's not out of, like, in any safety yet. If they lose this round, they're most likely going to lose the game. It'll be 14-9. They'll have no money whatsoever. But this A site, it's a lot, like, the rotate is just coming so fast. I mean, as soon as Mousesports makes contact with Jason, everybody's rotating on OpTic. And one of the reasons they can do that is because earlier on in the half, Rops died to Rush on that hard lurk. So they're not as worried about that, you know? After that hard lurker died that round, they're probably thinking, okay, we could just rotate and then, you know, kind of worry about that later. Jason probably saw bomb on radar, right? And they just flood the site and just not afraid to over-rotate whatsoever.
Well, Mousesports really haven't been splitting their players up too much either. They've been playing it pretty straightforward, maybe with one player at most splitting up and going to the other bomb site to try and lurk.
Yeah, it's almost always Rops over there.
Yeah. So with that said, OpTic can pretty much secure most of the time that when they do see contact and when it involves more than one player, that's probably going to be the side that they go to. So it's a little bit of heavy rotating, but it works out with the way that Mousesports have been playing their T side so far. And once again, what do we see? A direct play out to the platform, maybe with 1 or 2 players splitting off to draw, but still into the same site with all of them. At the moment, OpTic only have 3 players here to defend it in pretty usual spots too, so they're not going to throw any surprises at Mousesports more than likely. But those rotations have been key, and we have to see if they move in, if they're even needed, as at the moment, OpTic's just shutting it down. Rops with the only trade, and he's already dead. It's just down to Lowell now in a 1v4. The entire hit falls apart, and with Naf claiming a nice 4K from the Cubby, OpTic get themselves their 10th round.
Yeah, huge play by Naf there, and that's the same strat that OpTic tried on their own T side quite a few times. We saw Mousesports defended it way differently, right? OpTic kind of let them come out. They kind of let them do their strat, and they just hold, right? They just get the kills. Tarek takes contact, Naf shoots everybody, you know, on the side with nice shots. I don't know exactly where he is just because he's on that silenced M4.
Yeah, and he just completely destroys the entire hit. So now Mousesports are going to have to go for just a half-buy situation here. It works out at the start. Low moving in, destroys Rush. Tarek now having to play both ways here, but the smoke comes in clutch and is able to keep him alive for right now. And he eliminates Rops. Now they're going to try to swing back out and pinch this over to the A bomb site, but that may not go so well either, so they change the plan. Back into B with Dennis finding an entry on a Tarek. Nav still alive in the chicken coop, however, and is going to cause massive amounts of issues. He doesn't know for sure if the bomb is coming to this site just yet, though. He knows they have to come in to actually retrieve the bomb, but Rare the rotates all of a sudden. They're not working their way over to this site until just now when Mixwell and Jason R go for it. Oscar trying to go for this bomb, though, or trying to go for this AK pickup is going to be kind of dangerous. As there's players sitting directly next to him. The smoke, though, comes in clutch and is able to hold back most of OpTic for these few extra seconds that they need to get that bomb onto the platform and onto the ground. Mixwell taking up positions just inside of the drop room to look in the event anyone rotates back over towards the platform. He's not going to end up finding anyone. And even worse, Chris J, when he finally goes for that peek, instantly shuts out Mixwell, leaving Jason R alone to clutch this. And he'll go for the slow lurk in past up towards the pizza box here, but doesn't even check the rock, and that's where Oscar is going to shut it down, finally giving that control back over to Mousesports.
Just such a difficult retake, especially in that situation in the 2v1, because even if he kills Oscar there, Chris J is just going to peek him and just shoot him in the side. There's just really no chance. The only advantage they had is that they had the, you know, the mollies and whatnot, but because Chris J just kills Mixwell and just peeks him, you know, those don't come into factor at all, right?
Teams continue to use the full breadth of their pause allowance here, as now OpTic's going to use their 3rd out of 4. Both teams down to 1 with only a few rounds remaining in the half. OpTic need to find a way to get back into it, as they have decided to force into this round. And it's not going to be a bad buy either. They are, for the most part, going to get full rifles with just a couple sacrifices. Tarek and Jason are more than likely going to be the ones down on either pistols or UMPs.
And I mean, that round was just, you know, Mousesports not on a full buy or anything like that. It's just Tech 9s. They just get down, drop towards A, you know, running through that door, ending it. And I think it might have ended up in a 3v3, and then Dennis went down, so. Just that drop split getting in their faces with the Tech 9s. You know, it seems like on Cbble it happens more than just about every other map.
Yeah.
I think this might be the map where you see the most like Tech 9 round wins. That's why I was kind of questioning OpTic's buying like, a couple of these rounds on their own T side, where they had chances to break their money, and instead they played it very passively, right? Where they saved in those situations where, especially on Cbble, most teams buy there. Now we are going to see OpTic buy up. They don't have an op. They just got the 3 M4s, decent nades, a 5.7 and none.
Well, into the bye we go, and we'll have to see if OpTic can hold this off, as this is really going to be their last chance. It'll need to be 5 rounds straight after this, and with them already forcing into it, things are not going to look that bright in the next round if they don't manage to clutch things out here. Much more aggressive with their positioning, specifically towards A. They've got the 2-man stack over at the hay barrels, another guy sitting just outside of the mid connector, and Mixwell's probably going to be the first point of contact here to take the duel. But obviously some delay will be had because of the smoke toss out from OpTic. And just timing that right now. Dennis, though, obviously is going to be the man to challenge things here at A long. We'll see in a moment. This has been his playground. However, it's been severely underutilized. He was completely countered out when he was on the CT side. Now we have to hope he can get a little bit more damage on the T side, especially here. If he can do it, he may be the player that ends up closing out for his team on this map. The timing would be great right now, but unfortunately, Naf is prepared. He'll shut it down. Mixwell also catches a 2nd kill against Oscar. So just like that, down to the 5v3, and OpTic are looking good to hold here, as the remaining 3 try to group up, but there's going to be players all over the place if they even think about going towards this A bomb site. Now Jason R back down to that bottom position right outside of the mid connector doorway will eliminate Lowell, leaving just Rops and Chris J in the fight. Trying to push themselves over towards B. Tarek here with a close angle could do some great damage with a 5.7. They push their way out. There's the 1st and 2nd pickups to close it out and keep OpTic in this match. Now 3 rounds behind Mousesports.
Yeah, and Mousesports, like a lot of their T-side rounds, they started out with like just A-halls take, right? Rops alone on that B site, they take A-halls, A map control, middle, and then they work from there. And a lot of the time it just ends in a direct A take. So OpTic kind of read that. They sent 3 towards A. The reason Lowell tried to go through middle is because he knew 2 were long A. I was hoping nobody was watching that mid smoke at all, but you know, Jason R was just sitting behind it. Easy frag for him.
Well, Mousesports are going to go for a quick play towards drop this time since they are put onto just a half-buy/save round here. Most players on P250s, a few on Tech 9 armor purchases, and out they will go. Rush doesn't even seem to expect it, actually, so he has to do a double take there. Thankfully, things are still pretty much under their control. 3 kills in their favor, with Mosker being able to trade out the 1 onto Tarek. That may end up being the only one they get, although Lowell's being a little sneaky here. Still doesn't play out, though, with Mixwell going for the final peek. He shuts down the last kill and gives OpTic their 12th.
I mean, this OpTic CT side has been pretty good. If they didn't lose that one round where they had Tech 9s on Mousesports,
they'd be like 1 round away, I think. Game would be a little bit closer, but still, Mousesports with the lead could end this at a moment's notice, and they are back onto a full buy and back to straightforward strategies as well for this T side. Everyone.
Yeah, we haven't seen much drop control by either team, right? A lot of it's just been these like straight up, you know, he takes one up. Wow.
Tarek,
that is heartbreaking.
Tarek just getting completely destroyed at the beginning of the round by Chris J again. And that's opened up a whole world of possibilities here that Mousesports have to now try to contend with. Nav, however, responding pretty well from back down on the steps, picking up the trade kill onto Rops, trying to do more, but the flash hits him, and he can't trace his aim that well. Dennis with that pickup and almost gets the second one. He'll have the assist on it as Low actually finds the frag, but Jason R still in the fight and trying to wrap that around the smoke into the statue here. He finds yet another one, going for the third, but too low, and flashed out. He has to retreat inside of the smoke to keep himself alive and in the play. The 2v2 now going to be alive, and Mixwell's actually caught too, so now he's also low. Goodbye, Jason R, as Oscar connects another up shot. Only 1 more is needed to seal the deal and put Mousesports up to 15, and once again, it'll come from Oscar as he solidifies the 15th round for Mousesports and puts them just 1 away from pushing ahead of OpTic in this group.
It's just so deflating when that happens, when you're just kind of just sitting behind a smoke, you're ready to stop their full execute or whatever of their strat, and then Chris J just pops you through it. And I mean, he's 27 and 17 right now.
He's been a big player, I think, on the team when you look at Mousesports overall. And Rops, of course, not floating too far behind. And Oscar, although he had his issues in the first half, has come back big in the second half. And they will try to end it right here, right now, but they still have to go against the full buy from OpTic. They're playing into a more default setup here. They did try to rotate a few players early, which means they're going to be slightly out of position on B, but Mousesports are kind of, once again, just forcing their way out, and there's a lot of room for mistakes there that OpTic could swing in and punish upon it. Speaking of which, we have Tarek boosted up on top, but they were able to spot that, and Chris J strikes again, eliminating these key players. Nav tries to take a shot at Ropes as well, and that's going to get responded to. As Oscar picks up 1 more kill, just 2 alive now for the OpTic roster. Mixwell and Jason R trying to hide behind the rock and keep themselves in this match, but by going for this straightforward retake, it's just not going to work out. They both fall to Chris J, and with a 3K to seal the deal, he ends up with a 30 bomb to end the map. It's Mousesports that's going to take it, ladies and gentlemen, propelling them up to 2-1 in the group. OpTic, unfortunately, will now be down 1-2.
Yeah, Chris J really showing up, played very well there, especially near the end of the game. Mousesports just looking a bit better. OpTic had a good stand on their CT side, you know, got a few rounds there, really had a good read, especially on their A site rotates. But at the end of the day, just those 5-man executes from Mousesports, just, you know, they just started working, and that Tech 9 round was huge as well.
Yeah, a little bit too strong for Mousesports. So with that said, we're going to send it back over to the analysts to break down this first map of Group B.
Yes, welcome back to the Xfinity Analyst Desk here at the ESL Pro League Season 5 Finals. Mousesports, a good win over OpTic Gaming. That's kind of what we talked a little bit about. OpTic feeling a little bit discombobulated, coming this little disorganized as a team. At times, it just felt like they didn't really know what their teammates were doing during bomb site takes.
Yeah, you know, saw a couple of times when they went towards that A bomb site, for instance, they set up the initial execution pretty well, and they get up to the top of the A slope, and then things just kind of stop. You have people checking the same corners as they jump through towards woods, like just not necessarily having everything planned out to perfection. And that's obviously something you're going to get punished for. And that led to just that one favorable trade for Mousesports that allows for a rotation to come in.
Yeah, it seemed like they had the move down, right? Like they knew the smokes and flashes they needed to throw. Yeah. It just wasn't who's going to go where to clear what angles, how we're going to trade, what spacing we're going to have. That kind of stuff wasn't there. There's like, when I watch these guys on Cbble, there's remnants of like CLG. Like when Hayes was in the team, I see like little smoke plays and stuff, especially towards that B bomb site that they used to use to get people out for entry frags. But was more of a brawl for Mousesports than I think they were expecting.
Yeah.
The economy, first off, in the first half, I think eventually stabilized in the favor of OpTic, but then that was like the 11th round, so it's a pretty close half.
But let's focus on those Mousesports guys really quickly before we head to break, just because, I mean, as the winners, I mean, you got to be feeling good, Chad, because you mentioned the big thing about these guys is no one in this team is a slouch. They have Chris J with 30 kills, they have Robson, they have Oscar sitting around with the low 20s, 22, 23 kills. Yep. I mean, that's a pretty well spread effort. That's kind of what you want to see out of the Mousesports side. Yeah,
and then to even close out there, Lau was having a lot of impact, right? Like he was getting a lot of multi-frags there to help them get across the line. So everybody's contributing when they needed to. When I watch Robs play, I wish he'd go for more exciting plays. He always does the fundamentally sound things like 1v4. I know I should save. I'll just say. It's like, come on, dude, give it a try once in a while. Let's see if something can happen. But yeah, like in terms of the way that they approach the game, I think that LMB team must prep these guys with a really good game plan, right? Because the way they come in, they look like they know what they're doing all the time. And people question why stars don't always have why the same stars don't always have the same amount of frags and stuff, right? It's because the kills aren't always going to come your way. And I think with a team like Mousesports, when everybody can step up and be counted when they need to, you can see that that shows quite well that, hey, look, the frags coming to Chris J. He's making the frags this game. Maybe next game they're going to be heading towards Oscar, and Oscar will hit the top spot. So just one of those things that changes. And if you have a very skilled team like this, it definitely helps.
Yeah, and I think it's also very cool to see that Chris J is still able to have these kind of performances, considering how he kind of was forced into the role of being an in-game leader for this team. There's just something completely new for him. And obviously you expect a dip in performance. And I think that's fair to say that we have seen that during the regular season of Pro League as well. Hasn't necessarily been, online J. To that extent, right? But
he's shrugged that off, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And now coming into Dallas here and just playing lights out, especially towards the end of it, because for the better part of the first half, a lot of the rounds that Mousesports were able to get were off of the back of Robs, because he had a great start to it.
Yeah, we're gonna play time to talk about Mousesports when we come back, because we're gonna see them playing up against Liquid right after the break. So must-win game for OpTic Gaming. They don't win it, so they're gonna be backs against the wall. This is gonna be a tough group for them to get out from here on out. But Mousesports is sitting very nicely. Stay tuned. Mouse Liquid when we return.